And we are back, folks. Sorry for the little snafu at the onset. Hopefully, all of you are joining us on this new stream a little bit later here in the Michigan football breakdown, focused on the defense with Vance Bedford. I had to give Vance time to go break out his shirt, right? And say, "Get on the train, Vance. You want people to get on the train?"
That's me right there. You see that? Hey, my players when I was at Louisville, they hooked me up like that. They like it was the Louisville. So girl, that's me. Hey, right now, I'm the engineer right there. Get on the train or get out the way.
Yeah, so we gonna listen. We gonna come up with some merch. People been asking me, do you have TMI shirts? Do you have Monday morning quarterback shirts? Definitely. Let's ride. DA. I mean, we got a whole bunch of say, let me in. I had people coming up all week saying, let me in, let me in. So we gotta get some Van shirts made. And I'm telling you, hey, my mother-in-law, she cold with the embroidery. Like, she can make all the merch. So we gotta figure out what the saying is gonna be. Is it gonna be let's ride, or is it gonna be let me in, or is it gonna be get on the train? Right? Well, you folks let us know in the comments what Van shirt you want. And we're gonna get some Van shirts made, right? So Tobias Lewis already in saying my man Vance said listening to these streams makes driving home in traffic much more enjoyable. so,
Oh my goodness.
so I tell you what, the film study this week, educational. I don't know about enjoyable. Educational, Vance, is what I would say. As folks who look at the video and watch you break down basically the first quarter and a half or so of the game. There's a lot of teaching going on, and it sounds like that's what you think is going on in practice this week.
There's not a doubt in my mind right now. They need to clean those things up. I mean, you're finna go against Nebraska with a running quarterback. You're going to see some of the same plays. The quarterback is not a great passer by any means. I mean, the strength of their team is their defense. They actually play pretty good defense. They run a 33 stack look. They press off of it. But offensively, the quarterback has been an issue for them with turnovers. I mean, we control him and force him to throw the football. Like I said earlier, 42-7 is what I expect in this ball game. Because I don't think much of Nebraska's offense, because the quarterback has had trouble. He really has.
Yeah, and he's been hurt too. They actually had to go to the backup quarterback over there. I don't know I don't. Nebraska doesn't even know who their quarterback is going to be this week. So
And
it's going to be a tough road to hoe. But the task. I imagine you've been in this position with the teams you've coached, Van. Sometimes it's not about the opponent.
it
Sometimes it's
never
about
is,
you.
though, Sam. It's never about the opponent. It's always about yourself. It's look yourself in the mirror and say, did I do everything I'm supposed to do to be the best person and player I could be that day? And then you get in the game, that play, that series, that quarter. It's not about the opponent. It's about me executing, my teammate next to me doing his job. It goes right down the line. If you start saying what's about what they're doing offensively or ABC, it's not. It's about when a coach calls a play that we execute it to perfection. And when we do those type of things, a lot of good things happen for us. When we don't, bad things happen for us. And in that moment, I don't care if anything is bad happening outside. You know what's great about athletics in general is that I got a time to get away from any issues that might be going on in my life. So it gives me a chance to focus, have fun, and relax for 3 hours.
Yeah, man. So look back on the game, Vance. Kind of break it down. Tell me what you saw. Tell me about what your primary focus would be in practice if you were coaching this team. What would you feel like you really needed to clean up, and what do you feel like you did well in this game?
I don't talk about focus. I don't talk about discipline. We didn't have either in the first quarter. That's why we give up a bunch of yards, a touchdown. We have missed tackles. We have guys missing the line, guys in the wrong gap. That's just a lack of discipline and lack of focus. So we're getting back in practice, going right back to the fundamentals. You never get away from that. You never forget about that. If I'm the defensive line coach, I'm going through our basic technique, how to play a reach block, a down block. If we're moving, how do you move? What's your visual key? I mean, for example, if I line on a guy and I got to move inside, that guy's not my key. It's the guy inside. He tells me what I have to do, period. I mean, it's just that's how simple a game really is. You have to break it down just to my particular job and go get it done. What I saw in this ball game, guys not sure, guys doing somebody else's job, guys trying to go make plays outside the defense. There were a lot of that going on in the first quarter. Maybe because we're playing a lot of guys. Maybe we had too much in the game plan. I don't know what it was. But when I could see us making a mistake in Sam, which is one of our staples for the past 3 years, guys going the wrong way, or back is not fitting properly, something's not right. We need to get that cleaned up.
So did it have anything to do with the quarterback? It just felt like on a couple plays in there, uh, they weren't accounting for the quarterback, or they weren't keying the quarterback right. At least a couple times in there. What did you see? Did the fact the quarterback could run have anything to do with it?
No, no. Again, I'm looking at the execution. One time, if you go to the video study we just did, that they had Sam on. The safety came off the edge so fast that the quarterback had to come out the other way, the way he shouldn't have come out. But what was wrong with the defense was the linebackers. Because if you angle in the front, then they should play opposite the angle. So if the front is going left, the backer should be playing to the right. Because you say, well, the angle is going to cut the field and send the ball back the other way. Well, both backers play downhill. If they both would have played opposite the slant, they're sitting right there for a quarterback for a two-yard play. So again, it goes back to execution, not what they did. It's what we didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened a couple of times. Another time on Sam, the three technique or nose went the wrong way. So it gave the quarterback an escape area. He went right through the big gap where the nose should have been. We would have had a guy unblocked outside. It could have been a quarterback sack. Instead, it was a 5-yard gain. Another time, twice, almost back to back in the film study, we got a defensive end who's supposed to be in a C gap. He got greedy. Well, I'm going to go make this play. He jumps in the B gap. Guess where the ball goes? Right in the C gap where he should have been. And I said in that video study, slow till you know. In other words, do your job first. Once I clear my job, then I can fall back later and make a play. But when you're being greedy, man, bad things happen to you. When it didn't just happen to him, it happened to the entire defense. If that's Ohio State or Penn State, those plays going for touchdowns. And now we're playing from behind. We don't want to play from behind against those two teams. We really don't.
Yeah, man. We talked a lot the first 3 weeks about good responsibility football. It definitely looked like in this game, and maybe it had to do with the fact that you had one of your mainstays out and a couple of your mainstays back in. Not making an excuse, coach. Again, not making any excuses. But you did have some moving parts in there where it just didn't feel like everybody was on the same page all the time.
We've been playing a lot of guys in the first 3 ball games. So even though my man Big Mason Graham was out, the guys who came in, they've been playing. For us to make a mistake in some of our stunts that we've been running and that they've already been running is the issue. And for my 2 DBs that have been out, they look like they've been out. They played that way. They played soft. They missed tackles. They didn't want to challenge guys. And that's because they hadn't played. So hopefully we have time. And I want to say this again. I don't think Nebraska is very good. They might surprise me. But I've seen them play twice this year. I have not been very impressed. And if the backup quarterback has to play, when the first team quarterback's been bad, and the other guy on the bench, come on now, we're going from bad to awful. Okay. Now he might come to that game and be Superman this coming Saturday. That can happen. But I don't see it happening. I really don't.
All right. So you always do a great job of scouting the team, right? Of scouting Michigan, saying, all right, you got to be on the lookout for this. So now we're through 4 games. We got 4 weeks of tape now. As you look at 4 weeks of tape, how do you think teams who are capable, maybe Nebraska's not capable, but teams who are capable, how do you think they'll attack Michigan or try to anyway?
I'll go back to 2 games ago. RPOs is still an issue for us as far as fitting the run without D linemen and our linebackers. That's an issue. FSL, which we didn't see very much of any in this particular ball game, never showed up in the previous 3 ball games. Going back to Bowling Green, they hit some plays by being FSL. So that's still a concern about our alignment, those type of things. And in this particular ball game we had max protect by our opponent. They went 7-man protection. And they attacked the secondary. So we're going to buy time for you to get the ball down the field. And when they did that, they had success. And that's a concern because I've been talking about that for the previous 2 weeks about our coverage in the back end. I'm worried about those guys right now. They're not showing me that they can go out and shut guys down? Can we walk up and press guys? I haven't seen us being very successful at doing that right now. Last year we did an excellent job of that. It's not showing up right now. And my man number 2, Johnson, I mean, we had a play. One time we were so far off, scared me a little bit. Man, are we playing with just 10 people out there? Same thing for number 12. I mean, it's like, are they going, is Usain Bolt in their uniform? They so afraid of this guy because he's so fast. I mean, we're not challenging guys. Last year we walked up on guys, we sat on routes, we did so many different things. Right now, I'm concerned about us in the passing game. If we don't get home in the pass rush, I'm worried about us right now. I really am.
So, first game back for old Will J. First game back for Will Johnson.
He looked like it too.
Let's see. Let's see how he does this way. I mean, won't get probably that much of a test this week, or maybe even the next 2. But that's kind of, I think, conducive to him getting back in the flow. You just need Will and Rod to get some snaps. Rod Moore, I already know what your response is going to be, but Rod Moore don't overrun plays, Vance.
Yeah, I know. You keep saying that he just did for a touchdown. That's all I got to know right there. I mean, and I'm gonna be honest with you, playing that position in the open field, having to make those plays, that's not easy. That's probably one of the toughest plays to make on the football field. It really is. And like I say, he wasn't the only guy on that particular touchdown that made a mistake. It's 3 or 4 other guys that should have been there to make that play. It should have been maybe a 10-yard game. I mean, it starts with Lil Mike. It starts with the defensive end, his drop. It starts with it's a variety of guys were involved. And like I said, if we fit this thing right, it's a 10-yard gain instead of a 69-yard touchdown. And again, I thought we playing against average receivers and an average quarterback. As we get into the tougher teams in our conference, it's going to be a lot more difficult for us.
Yeah, blank name. We'll get some of the questions coming up, but he said, "Hey, I'm glad the cushion bothered Vance too. It was ridiculous." Um, Again, as far as Will is concerned, his game is being up in the face of a receiver. I could only assume that, the times where had him playing with a huge cushion was about it being his first game back, not about how we're going to see them use him moving forward. I don't think, put it this way, I don't think it's going to be a trend. I think they're building, they're easing him back in. That's how I took it anyway.
Well, it's that could have been it, but I always go from a standpoint: do what you do as a player. I always coach to a player's strength. Not I wasn't a cookie cutter coach. If you ever watch my kids play, they were totally different because they had different athletic abilities. They thought differently. Therefore, I played to their strengths. If Will wants to press, he could be rushed. You get up there and do what you do because why? That's what you do well. That's what you believe in. You don't believe in necessarily being this guy off. So I'm gonna ask the kid to do something that he's not the most comfortable doing. I mean, and I just go back to you when I was at Michigan with Andre Weathers and Wood. I said, you know what, guys, you can play off and do this, or you can press and do this. Well, guess what both guys would do? I said, Coach, my job from me, I'm gonna walk up and take this guy. I was at Florida. I had Joe Hayden, who ended up being a 3-time Pro Bowler, Janoris Jenkins, 2-time Pro Bowler. Okay, I said, Coach, anytime we can go press right now. But you play to their strength. They missed a game or two, they came back, go do what you do. I'm not going to bring you back slowly. Go do what you do because that's what you're good at. And so maybe that's what they told him. And you little rusty play off. Well, he looked bad playing off.
And look, that's just my speculation. I don't know that. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
I'm speculating.
I'm speculating too. I'm right along with you. We both out there fishing. Boom. We've been out there 3-4 hours. We haven't even had a bite. That's okay though. We both doing the same thing. So we both can be wrong. We right. I don't know that, but just that's an observation. To me, both corners played a little timid and played a little bit off. They both of them did. Now maybe they were told, "Hey, we got this game won. Keep the ball inside and front. We can get home with the front. Just don't give up big plays." I don't know what was being said, but an observation. That's not Michigan football.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, folks. If you have questions for Vance, because we got started a little late, I'm gonna get to the questions earlier in the stream so we can get out at the same time. If you have questions for Vance, throw them in right now while you're putting the questions in. We got some votes in on the shirts, Vance.
Oh,
we got some votes in on the shirts. So Kellen Sandifer said, "Can you count to 3?" You got to have a shirt that say, "Can you count to 3, Vance?" I mean, I think
that's
he's on to something. Trey Conrad came back and said, "If you can count to 3, You can play for me. That make a 6 shirt. That's another vote for count to 3, man. Marcus Marcus Ellis
Oh,
said, "Get on the train for sure. That's got to be it." um,
oh my goodness.
the Rush Exposure said, "Vance, them ND coaches couldn't count to 3."
Twice. Not
Right?
once, but twice.
All right. Hey, David Brasson said, "I want a count to 3 shirt, Vance. Count to 3. That's gonna be the shirt. We will be making a Vance Bedford shirt. I'm gonna talk to my mother-in-law when she get back. She has an embroidery business. We gonna make this happen." And we're gonna have these shirts. All proceeds are gonna go to Vance Bedford. We're gonna take the cost. All we're gonna do is take the cost. But all the proceeds gonna go to Vance Bedford. We are going to make, if you can count to 3, you can play for me.
Oh
That
my
shirt is
goodness.
getting made. Or maybe it should just be simple. Can you count to 3?
Oh, oh.
Hey man, so I told you, your fans, they love you, man. They love you. All right, let's go ahead and get to the questions. This is one of your biggest fans out here, Vance. Dr. Singh said, and he's talking all over the place about Vance Bedford. Everybody who can needs to listen to Vance. He says, Coach, why could we not get any sacks? There was time for Wimsat, whereas JJ got sacked twice and hit 7 times.
It's a couple of things. They went 7-man protection. They went max protect to get the ball out. They knew that Michigan was a blitzing team, so their whole thought process, let's protect our quarterback. A couple other times we had some bust up front. We had some blitzes going on and guys hitting the wrong gap. They chasing each other, and all of a sudden it gets blocked and the quarterback is scrambled. And that was the biggest thing, 7-man protection and some missed assignments early in the first quarter. But as the game went on, we got some hits on the quarterback running for his life. You're going to see that if you go to watch the video. In the fourth quarter, we had a 0 blitz on, and the quarterback, we had 3 guys that were on block chasing the quarterback. He got rid of the football. So as the game went on, we got better, but it's tough to get home when they go on max protect because they're afraid of the blitzes.
All right. Let's get back to the questions for Vance. Next on the list, here it is. Vance, how would you scheme up this defense against Nebraska? Their quarterback is basically a running back. That's their starter and their backup. Both of them got banged up because they run the football. So what would you do? How would you scheme up?
I think they already have a plan. When you bring your Sam 3, you bring your Lightning, it contains him. And again, he struggles throwing the football. So the things that they're doing right now, I think those things are in place to take away running quarterbacks. And you can force them to the boundary because you blitz them to the field. So what you do, you cut the field. In other words, when I blitz from the field, I got to force to the boundary. You can take away a third to 2/3 of the field for his throwing lane, which now limits him. So that'll force them. If I'm Nebraska right now, I'm going to put formation to the boundary. I'm going to have a lot of pass game into the boundary because if you bring it from the field, I know you're dropping your defensive end if it's a zone blitz. And if you're playing any type of zone, if the nickelback stays to the field, that means a linebacker has to be in coverage. If the nickelback comes into the boundary, I know you're playing man-to-man. So to me, if I'm attacking a team that's really a field pressure team, Bowling Green had a great game plan. They just didn't have the players to execute it. And I don't think Nebraska does either. I could be wrong because on that day they can play like Superman. I doubt it. I think Kryptonite has hit them already, so I'm not worried about that. But that's what I would do if I was Nebraska. I'm going to FSL. I'm going to work into the boundary, see can you make you adjust. Then I'll have a few trick plays going back to the field.
Okay. All right. From Tobias Lewis, who's listening to us going through traffic. He said, Hey, Vance, which guy on our defensive line are you most excited about?
Like I say, it seems like each week a different guy steps up. So I'm excited about all of them. I like the depth. I mean, it's not just a guy. It's several guys. And you want to have a great defense, you got to have more than one guy. You go back to 2 years ago, you had 2 great defensive ends. Okay. And they both are draft picks. You get a guy had a knee injury and he still get drafted in the second round. That's unheard of. I mean, so that's special when they're doing a great job in the NFL. Last year you had guys come on. You had Big Mike. He was a guy last year. Some other guys came on. This year, so far this season, I see a variety of guys. It's not a guy. It's a combination of all the guys together. And I think because of that depth, it actually makes you better. Because if it's just one guy, you can block one guy. You can scheme him up. But when you got 2 or 3 guys inside and a guy outside coming, it's tough to block those guys. That's why we played so well so early this season.
Yeah, I came into the season really feeling like this was going to be a huge year for Mason Graham and Chris Jenkins. And Chris Jenkins is having a real good season. He had the pick last week, made another great play this week on a short yardage play. Mason out for at least another week, according to Jim. He'll be back. I keep saying, if they weren't trying to get him back in by next week, he was going to be banging down the door. It's all a matter of how quickly, because they're gonna club him up. They're gonna club him. Assuming his wound is healed, they're gonna club him up. He'll be back out there. That's how that works. But he's a fantastic player. And then Kenneth Grant. So I was excited about those guys already. I got to pick out Kenneth Grant because he surprised me the most, Vance. I
Yeah.
mean, I've envisioned him early in his career being a guy more like Mozzie, who on rundowns was a real factor, but not so much on pass downs.
Yeah.
And the dude has been an every down defensive lineman for them so far this year.
And again, that's why I like him, because who can you hone in and say, we got to block this guy? You really can't, because any one of those guys up front can beat you right now. And that's why the defense, in my opinion, has a chance to be even better than last year overall, especially in the big games. And right now, we hadn't really had a big game, in my opinion, but they're coming, and we're getting ready to play. A lot of guys in a lot of reps and building a lot of depth. So, like right now, Graham is out. So other guys got a chance to get more reps, which is long-term wise, it's going to make them better. And it's going to make Graham better too.
All right, Vance. So let's go ahead and get back to the questions. And this one comes from, so have I asked Vance? Blank name, excuse me, wants to know, did Sam ask Vance about the last drive for Notre Dame? I haven't on the stream, but I did. I did. We got a Buckeye in the stream, by the way. This had nothing to do with them out toughing Notre Dame. Notre Dame choked the hell out of that game. They choked that game off. They choked it off, fans. I almost think it was so much of a choke job, it made me think that they threw it. Like, if somebody must have bet on this game, and they got to make sure they lose, because they did everything you could do wrong down the stretch, Vance. Notre Dame did wrong down the stretch and wound up losing the game.
I was looking at the end of the game, and you look at Notre Dame has a ball, and it's 2:50 to go in the game. They got the ball, so it's second down and long, 2nd and 12. Okay, if you run the ball, you're gonna force Notre Dame to call a timeout. They threw a screen, incomplete pass. Okay, and they come back on 3rd down. They run the football. Clock is running. They punt the football, and all of a sudden, they slowly moving the ball. They got them on 3rd and long. Think about it. 3rd and long, no timeouts. Now Notre Dame has a timeout. Ohio State is not. So 3rd and long, and they throw a ball to the 2-yard line, and there's 5 seconds on the clock. Think about it. Let's go back to the screenplay that was incomplete pass. If you run the ball then, that play doesn't happen. Okay, but let's go to the 3rd and long. They throw it down to the 2-yard line, whatever it is. They only had 10 guys on the field. I didn't know that. Somebody else pointed out. Because you let the guy who's been killing you the whole ball game, that receiver who caught that ball, he's unmolested going down the football field. Whoever was on number 2 expanded to the outside guy trying to defend the sideline. He went down the field with nobody on him, not rerouted, and it was an easy throw for the quarterback because he only rushing 3. Now you got a timeout. It's 5 seconds on the clock. You got 10 guys on the field. They run the ball where the guy should have been. You call timeout, even you don't have a timeout. The official either going to stop the clock. They're going to say, you don't have a timeout, you can't do it. But if they stop the clock, say, well, we got to penalize you because you didn't have a timeout. Well, the ball on the 2 is going to move to the 1. Who cares? Now I can get 11 people on the football field. That's how you look at it. Because what happens is if they said we got to stop the clock, that's the delay of game penalty. It's half the distance to the goal. Don't get my extra guy out there. So, but again, it's tough. And I said this to you earlier. You got to have a guy in the press box that's not on the sideline. A guy in the press box say, Coach, we got 10, call timeout. And the head coach will say, well, we don't have a timeout. Coach, call it anyhow. We got nothing to lose. Call timeout. That's the guy in the press box who's not in the heat. The guy in the press box is calm. He can see things. The guy on the sideline can get excited. People can say, well, he's a head coach. You're not supposed to get excited. Really? He's not a human being. He's a robot. Everybody can get caught in the moment. Even Nick Saban or Bill Belichick, they can get caught in the moment also. So in that situation, the guy in the press box was the guy that said, Coach, you need to call timeout, period. And I don't know what happened. The guy in the press box didn't say anything, but that should have happened. And
I
so
know
in
what
that
happened.
situation, Notre Dame, they gave the game away. But
Oh yeah, I know
Ohio
what happened.
State played more physical than I've ever
Yeah,
seen them play.
they choked. They choked,
They
Vance.
choked.
And it wasn't just this is why I say that Ohio State was lucky. Like Ryan Day can talk about how tough they are all he wants. He got gifted a win. They dropped the interception. That's on the
Yeah,
players. You you
that
you
kills you.
you got to make that play. You
Yes,
got
you
to
do.
make that play, right?
Yeah.
And then so that's the player side of it. Strategy. Like you are moving this quarterback off his spot. This is not CJ. This is not any of the last quarterbacks that they had who you move them off their spot. They aren't comfortable. That certainly was the case with CJ Stroud, but they were more comfortable than this dude. You move him up, you rush him 4 and 5 the whole game, and you wait till 3rd and 19 to
Not
fall
three
back and play prevent. Like
with
what
10
what are we
people
doing? That's bad strategy, Vance. Then you got 10 players on the field, the
after a
last two
timeout.
plays.
After a timeout.
I mean, what do we do? Nobody knows. Let's just get a penalty. Marcus Freeman said we can't have another guy. We couldn't afford to get a. You can't afford to get a penalty, man. Give me a penalty and let me live to fight another day with 11 players.
You know
And
what?
then he said it,
Sometimes
Vance. This to your point. So you said in the heat of the moment, the coach is hey he needs somebody to tell him. He was in the press conference talking about we can't have a penalty in this situation. Like, man, stop it. Come on, man. Come on.
right now, a lot of times you get in the heat of the moment in the press conference and you're still trying to analyze and visualize what happened. And so he is trying to explain why, and he really couldn't. He really couldn't. He's trying to defend himself and everybody else on the sideline. And I've been there. It's tough. In a situation like that, it's tough. And
Well,
he has a really calm demeanor, and so he tries to stay that way. I'd have been in that situation. I'd have been pissed off. I might have had to curse somebody out. I'm just being honest. I mean, just
right.
you right now you're upset with the whole situation. Should have won the game. We had 10 guys out there, and you number one, you're trying to protect your players. You're trying to protect the coaches because the D line coach. How come they don't have the 3 defensive linemen in the game? Think about that. That's his
Yeah,
responsibility. So he's trying to protect his guys too. He's trying to protect his players and his coaches. And at the end of the day, sometimes you gotta say we just screwed up. We screwed up. I should have called a timeout. They had one play left with 5 seconds on the clock.
yeah. I mean, they barely scored with 10 men on the field.
I know. So call your
Like,
timeout,
give
get
me this.
penalized, and live with it.
Like,
But again, it's we all can sit back here after the fact and say what we would have done. When you're in the heat of the battle, sometimes you do strange things.
hey, man, I didn't see anything in that game that made me feel any different about Ohio State than I felt before the game.
I did though,
Oh,
Sam.
Notre Dame was punching them in the mouth down the stretch.
But Sam, I saw something I didn't see at Ohio State for the last 2 years. I saw a team that physically tried to run the football, and the offensive line was getting after Notre Dame's defense. I mean, I didn't see that at all last year. You heard me last year. They soft. You heard I made them comments last year. Right now, this season so far, I've seen them play twice, and they are actually trying to run the football. Something I don't think that's not Ryan Day's forte, but he realizes that to go to the next step to compete with Michigan. I didn't say beat Michigan. I said compete with Michigan. He can't be a finesse football coach because if he does, Michigan gonna go right to Columbus
Oh,
and
he said
spank
that
him
ain't what it
again.
was. He said no. They just had one bad half, Vance. They had one bad half 2 years ago, and they had 5 bad plays last year. That's it. That's the only problem.
But you know what? It's only 60 minutes in the game. 5 plays or 60 minutes or a half. That's the game. That is the game. So you know what? Again, my man, he needs to look in the mirror and quit thinking he's in the land of Oz. Man, ain't no wizards out there. Shit, the wizard was fake anyhow. They saw that. Shit. So he better kind of look at himself and check himself.
It's hey man, looking forward to that game. I didn't think I could look forward to it any more than I already was. I am. I feel not that I'd ever root for Notre Dame, but I found myself disappointed for Marcus Freeman. I give him credit though. He came back, what was it, yesterday, and he said we got a plan. If we are in a situation where we got 10 players on the field, we got a signal where guys just take a penalty. He's not doing like those dudes in the NFL. Man, it was a bad week for some coaching decisions, Vance. You got Brandon Staley. I was talking about this with Al. He's 4th and 1 on his own 24 in the last, it's under 2 minutes to go in the game, and he's up 4. And Vance, he goes for it. Like
He's been doing that forever though. Since he's become a head coach there, he's been doing that forever. That's why I think it was 2 years ago they didn't get in the playoffs because of that.
oh man,
I mean,
man,
he is killing that team. They got a really good quarterback, in my opinion. He's killing them. He is the problem. I hate talking about coaches, but he's the issue. And I think the owner is realizing that. So if they don't get in the playoffs this year, the Chargers will have a new coach.
I think so too. And then your man Josh McDaniels, Vance, the man is 2:22 left in the game. It's 4th down on the 8-yard line. 8-yard line. They are down by 8. They are down by 8 points, and they're on the 8-yard line. Right? So he's sniffing this. I mean, you're fourth down, throw it in the end zone, something. He kicks the field goal. You know his reason? You hear his reason for kicking the field goal?
I didn't hear it.
With 2:22 left in the game, whatever, it was like 2 minutes left in the game. He said, well, you're going to need a couple possessions anyway.
What? What?
Hey man, somebody need to tell the man. Somebody need to tell the man you could tie the game in one possession. Somebody need to tell him. He didn't get the memo, Vance.
How many timeouts do you have left?
I mean, I don't know how many timeouts he had. I just know he decided to kick a field goal because he thought you needed multiple possessions down 8. You can't make it up, Vance. You can't make it up. I swear to you.
Hey, pressure bust the pipe. Hey, just imagine if you're in Denver. The last time somebody scored 70 points was 1966. Think about that. 70 points in the National Football League. Those players, they flat quit.
Yeah. All right. I got to get some more Michigan questions.
All right, let's go. Let's go over Rangers.
Right. John Walls wants to know, on a few of the boundary catches, talking about Michigan, they were in zone. The wide receiver was outside of the backer and the corner was super deep. Is that just designed to not get beat deep on those sideline routes that Rutgers hit?
Yeah. I don't know what was being said. I think the corner was just playing safe and soft based off the call. One time they had a zone pressure on. Again, last year, to be honest, for what I could tell, I never saw it that way. This year, I'm seeing some different things. You have different players in the game right now doing different things. And I don't know if the kid's playing safe or not understanding what is being asked of him. So I think that's going to be cleared up and cleaned up, that we don't have a defense where you 10 yards off a guy and start backpedaling. We don't have a defense like that. So I think we'll see a change of that in the upcoming games. But I saw the same thing what you did.
Yeah, Brian Williams said, my man Vance, the master of defensive breakdowns. They trying to bring you out of retirement, Vance. I'll keep telling you.
No.
All right, here's one from Neil Wiggins. Said, will Michigan have to stay in their lanes instead of rushing the QB full out this week versus Nebraska? Did you coach your lineman different against a mobile quarterback?
You always have a rush lane. So when you're rushing somebody, you need to stay in your rush lane. We saw it in this game here. We had Sam on, and the nose went the wrong way. He was out of his rush lane, so he gave the quarterback an escape lane. So therefore, you rush in your lane, beat your guy, but you stay in your lane, or you collapse the pocket back to the quarterback. But no, go get that quarterback. Go do what you've been doing the whole year.
All right. Here's one. Magoo, he said, Ohio State still isn't physical enough, I feel. Nothing against Notre Dame, but Michigan is better across the board, and JJ can run. What do you think about that, Vance? Michigan, versus Ohio State compared to Notre Dame versus Ohio State? You think that's a different animal?
Again, my only thing is this. I think Ohio State right now is trying to be more physical. In my opinion, they have shown that. I don't think the quarterback could make the plays that the previous two quarterbacks could with his arm. So that's why I think you see them trying to run the ball more, trying to protect the quarterback. Because the receiving core is still excellent. They got a first round pick and a second round pick out there. But the quarterback is making both the kids look like third round picks. I mean, so they're running the football, trying to be more physical. I think long term wise, it's going to benefit them. But if we play Ohio State next week, Michigan will beat them by 2 touchdowns. Their whole goal is working towards getting to Michigan the last game of the year. That's why you're trying to see them being more physical. And Ryan Day, I think, still, he was almost in tears. I'm watching the sideline, and you can see right now he didn't have a frog in his throat. He had an elephant choking him to death. And you're right, Notre Dame let him off the hook. And then I guess Lou Holtz must have made some comment. I don't know what he said.
Oh,
So
he said, no, I tell you what he said, Vance. He said Ohio State lost to Clemson. They lost to Alabama. They lost to Georgia, and they lost to Michigan twice. And in each of those games, they lost to a more physical team. I think Notre Dame is a more physical team, so I think they're going to beat Ohio State. That's what he said, Vance. That's
okay, I
all
thought it
he
was
said.
something bad. I thought it was worse than that.
No, man.
Those are facts. But I
Thank you.
know Ryan Day, he was after the game, he came after Lou. I'm like, man, Lou must have said something that really pissed this man off because he is hot at Lou Holtz.
He said something to a man who ain't gonna hit back. That's what he talked to an 86-year-old dude who recited some outcomes of games. That's all he did. He didn't say you were born on third base acting like you hit a triple. He didn't say that, right? I haven't seen any reaction to that. But you react to an 86-year-old dude who's at a pep rally or something or an interview. Come on, man, stop it. This is all fake. this all fake smoke, man. This is not the real smoke from a fire. This is fake
I
smoke.
think Ryan Day trying
Ryan
to
Day.
figure out what they are. I don't think he knows what they are. I really don't. That's why he's running the ball more this year than what he did the last 2 years. He's trying to figure. I don't have the quarterback with the same type of arm that I've had the last several years. So he's trying to find different ways to win. He doesn't know what they are right now. He really doesn't. So that's what I'm saying. We played them this coming weekend. Beat them by 14 points.
This ain't the land of Oz, Vance.
Oh no, there's no wizard at the end of this day, baby.
All
There's
right,
no wizard at
all
all.
right. Shane Johnson said, "Love you, Vance. Always on point. What's your assessment of Wallace, number 12, so far? And with Will Johnson back, do we assume more help can slide number 12's way with Will on one side?"
I think Wallace has shown a good skill set. I'm trying to be kind, but his play right now is very average. And you can see people trying to find him and go after him. He has a tendency to play off. He's missed some assignments in his game. And Michigan's not the type of team that rolls to people, protect people. They really don't. I mean, if you play more cover 6, which means you got a quarter, half, it's cloud to the boundary, they can do it to the field. You can roll to him to protect him some, but that's not what Jesse has done in the past. He does things to take particular receivers away. So in other words, you kind of own your own within in the scheme of the defense. So right now, I'm not overly excited about his play, but I do see a lot of potential there. He can't help but get better, in my opinion. So I think each week he's shown some positive signs. Now I hope to see him continue to improve as the season goes on.
An elephant in his throat, Vance.
Oh my goodness, he choked him. That trunk not coming out.
All right, my last one for you because we got to get out of here so we can get out of here on time. This one comes from Jason Beeve, I think. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. But he said, "Do you think Harbaugh just intentionally holds back good plays until he sees better opponents? Seems smart, but it seems like others don't do it as much. Is Harbaugh just more content beating lesser opponents by smaller amounts, while other coaches just can't help themselves from destroying lesser teams with their best plays? What do you think, Vance?"
I don't think we hold back any plays. We are doing what we've always done. We are running football teams. So guess what you're saying? You're saying duo. You sing something out of J.J. Watt's sing last year, more quarterback runs. So to me, he's showing his offense. His offense is what you see week in and week out. And I know a lot of people get upset. Well, we should do more. We should throw the ball more. Well, that's not what we are. That's not who he is. If you remember, you go back 4 or 5 years ago, you used to see 22 personnel in the first quarter. That's 2 tight ends, 2 backs. We don't do that anymore. He'll do some 12. He'll spread you out 11 personnel, but he's gotten away from that. But at the end of the day, he is still going to run the football. He's going to be physical on offense, which makes us better on defense. His game plan is this: we're going to shorten the clock and protect our defense. So in the fourth quarter, our defense is fresh. If we have to, they can go out and win a game for us. So he's not holding anything back.
Right. Account 22 is always shouting out Mike, or Lil Mike as you call him, saying, can y'all show Mike some love? Vance showed Lil Mike a lot of love in the film study. He also coached him up in the film study too, like he typically does. But you called it what? You called it the defensive play?
The defensive play of the year so far. It's not even close. That play on the interception that he made, that should be on every highlight on ESPN. I mean, he should have gone down. He picked the ball off, landed on the guy, got up and took off running for a touchdown. That was truly special. That was truly special.
Well, it's always truly special to hang out with you, Vance, and hang out with the people. They want a Can You Count to 3 t-shirts. I'm going to talk to my mother-in-law. She has a great embroidery business. I'm going to get that shirt commissioned, and y'all better buy that shirt because I'm going to order like 50 of them. And we're going to see how quick they sell with all the proceeds, all the profit anyway. We'll send Vance's way and see if we can get something going. Can you count to 3? All right.
And can we get on that train?
Or get on the train. Get on the train. We might have a whole line of Vance shirts down the line. So y'all keep showing Vance that love. Keep showing the film studies and the breakdown some love. We appreciate you. Be back tomorrow, by the way, with Steady Dropping Dimes with Devin Gardner and Daniel Horton. We're definitely going to be talking more Notre Dame, Ohio State, talking college football, talking the NFL week that was and that will be. What's up with Justin Fields? What's up with my man, Russell Wilson, on the field with 6 minutes to go, down 70-20 in the fourth quarter. We got a lot to talk about on Steady Dropping Dimes. That's tomorrow from 3 until 4. Be sure to check us out over on the MichiganInsider.com. Until next time, thanks for watching another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the defense with Vance Bedford.
Go Blue.